Hi guys, this is going to be the first video in a series called Integration by Partial Fractions. And in this video, we actually aren't going to do any integrating. We are going to go back and refresh our memory in some algebra skills. So I want us to take a look at these two fractions that we have. We have 3 over x plus 2 plus 5 over x minus 1. And what I want us to do with these fractions is I want us to add them. So whenever you add fractions, you have to have a common denominator. And that common denominator is made with the least common multiple. So we need a common denominator and it needs to be made with our least common multiple. And a lot of times that least common multiple is taking both of the denominators and multiplying them by the other thing. So x plus 2 times x minus 1 would be our least common multiple. So here, our least common multiple would be x plus 2 times x minus 1. So that being said, we need to figure out what do I need to multiply the left fraction by to get x plus 2 and x minus 1 as its denominator? Well, I would need to multiply by x minus 1 over x minus 1. I am allowed to do that because x minus 1 divided by x minus 1 is just 1, and therefore I have not altered the equation. Now on the right side, I would need to multiply by x plus 2 over x plus 2. X plus 2 over x plus 2 is just 1. I have not altered my fraction whatsoever. And so let's look at what does this become? So x minus 1 times 3 turns into 3x minus 3. And our denominator becomes x plus 2 times x minus 1. Now when we're multiplying the right-hand side, 5 times x plus 2 is 5x plus 10. And our denominator is x plus 2 times x minus 1. Now, when we're adding fractions, as long as you have your common denominator, that common denominator becomes the denominator of the whole fraction. Now we can add the numerator by combining like terms. So we've got 3x plus 5x is 8x. Negative 3 plus 10 is plus 7. Our numerator is in standard form, so let's go ahead and get our denominator in standard form. And so we're going to have 8x plus 7 over, well, when I FOIL this out, I'm going to get x squared plus x minus 2. And there we have it. We have added those two fractions together. So we had to find our common denominator, and then we had to multiply each side by a clever version of 1, and then we simplified. What if I want to work backwards? What if I am given 8x plus 7 over x squared plus x minus 2? I want to split this up. I want to split this up into two fractions again. And the nice thing is we have the answer on the left-hand side of the paper. But let's figure out, what am I going to do? Well, the first thing I would do is factor our denominator. And the reason why I would factor the denominator is that's going to give me the two different denominators. So when I factor this denominator, I'm going to get 8x plus 7 over x plus 2 and x minus 1. Now, when I split this, what I want is I want our two fractions to be something over x plus 2 plus something over x minus 1. So something and something. That's pretty crazy. And essentially, in the end, I know what those somethings should equal. The somethings that have to do with our x, we need 8 of them. And our somethings that have to do with our constant, we need 7 of them. So here we go. What we want to do with this is we want to say, okay, I have something over x plus 2. I have something over x minus 1. Well, let's multiply this side by that, what would make it a least common multiple. We'll multiply this side the same way. And now I'm going to have my a's and my b's. So ax minus a, I distributed this in, plus, distribute this in, bx plus 2b. Okay, well, we know that the x term is 8. We know that the constant term is 7. So let's take our x's and set that equal to 8. Let's take our constants, and I should have used a different color. Let's take our constants and set those equal to 7. Now, this is a system of equations. We can solve this. So a minus a is 0. It cancels out. B plus 2b is 3b. And 8 plus 7, 8 plus 7 is going to be 15. B equals 5. So back in our fraction, this b up here, this b is 5. That b is 5. Now, if you remember systems of equations, we found our b value. To find our a value, we take the b value and we plug it back in. So we have a plus 5 equals 8. A equals 3. And that is this piece right here. A is 3. And we did it. We took this and we split it back up into its 2 original fractions. And what you'll find is if you add these fractions together, you're going to get this. And look, that matches exactly what we had on that left-hand side. So to split our fractions, factor your denominator, x plus 2, x minus 1. Split those into 2 separate fractions and put an a on top and a b on top. Then go through the process as if you need to figure out what is a and what is b. You will know what your x term should be and you will know what your constant term should be. Use that for a system of equations. Okay, I would like you guys to try one. I want you to split this. Split. And what we have here is we have x minus 5 over x squared plus 5x plus 4. And what I would like you guys to do is pause the video. Pause the video right here. Okay, step 1, factor the denominator. When we factor our denominator, we are going to get x plus 4 and x plus 1. Step 2, split the fraction into 2 using the factors as denominators. So we're going to split this into 2. One of our denominators is x plus 4. One of our denominators is x plus 1. Let's put an a and a b. Let's put an a and a b. Step 3, solve for a and b. So what we need to do is we need to get our common denominator. So we're going to multiply the left by x plus 1 over x plus 1. That's just a clever version of 1 because x plus 1 over x plus 1 is just 1. We're going to multiply this side by x plus 4 over x plus 4. Really, we don't care about the denominator at all. We just care about our numerator. So let's actually FOIL this in or distribute this, and we get ax plus a, and we get bx plus 4. We know that the x terms of this should equal 1. The x terms of this should equal 1 because of this piece right here. And so we have we have a plus b equals 1. And we know that the constant terms of this should equal -5. And so we have a plus, this should be a 4b. I'm sure some of you already caught that, equals a -5. Yeah, this should be a 4b from distributing. Now we have a system of equations. And so let's go ahead and subtract these two. When we subtract, this cancels. This is going to be -3b. 1 minus -5 is 6. And so b equals -2. That means that I can replace this b here. So if I were to write this out, I'm going to have something over x plus 4 plus -2 over x plus 1. To find our a value, we're going to take that -2 and we will plug it back in. So we've got -2 plus b equals 1. So, nope, my bad. We have a minus 2 equals 1. And so a equals 3. And that's what we'd replace right here. So when we break this up, we're going to get 3 over x plus 4 minus 2 over x plus 1. And if you were to multiply that back out, you would get exactly what you started with.